So I fell in love with a demon princess, and she goes by the name of Yamato. I don't seem to be the only one falling for our favorite Odin cosplayer though. She actually ranked number 11 on the most recent popularity poll, and for good reason. Our demon princess embodies what all of us want in a future Straw Hat. Steadfast, brash, hard-headed, and resilient. All qualities our own protagonist Luffy exemplifies, minus the fact that Yamato has some, well, the epithet of Demon Princess is actually from chapter 1024 in Yamato's tragic flashback, and she's referred to as an oni-princess, which in fact translates directly to Demon Princess, which can also be translated directly to Ogre Princess, but I think Demon Princess sounds a little bit more badass. Quite a misnomer of demon because Yamato is quite angelic minus the horns, but don't get me wrong, I absolutely adore the horns. In fact, I love her whole design. Toting horns, long white and blue hair, and a club similar to Kaido, she is easily one of the most beautiful and aesthetic characters we can find within our story of One Piece. This isn't something you'd expect from Kaido's daughter, given Kaido isn't a handsome lad himself, but given her size, horns, and fighting style, she does emulate her father, despite her likely not being a fan of that. In fact, she doesn't even want to be related to him. Rather, she desires to be Odin, to embody Odin's ideals, his yearnings for freedom, exploration, and brash living, which is paramount to her character since she very first entered the story. Yamato in her introduction to the story was instantly compelling. Being a fan of Luffy before she ever even met him, she had awaited the day she could meet Luffy and goes as far to ask Luffy to join his crew. And when she did that, I sure as hell cheered with excitement at this prospect. Yamato's desire to not just be like Odin, but to become Odin started at a young age where she treated Odin's journal as her own Bible. Subjected to isolation, without a proper father figure or people around her to nurture her growth, her entire world, her entire hope centered on this journal of Odin. Hoping to one day venture out to sea the same way he did, but most importantly, to open up the lands of Wano, which was Odin's final wish. This desire to become Odin generated tons of gender debates, focusing on Yamato being a he or she, and although this conversation is important, I feel those fixated on that are missing the point of Yamato as a character. Yes, Kaido refers to Yamato as his son, but it's not uncommon, especially for a father the likes of Kaido, to train their daughter as if it's their son due to their desire to have a son, which is another spotlight on Kaido's lack of proper parenthood. Yamato is actually first introduced as Kaido's daughter, the Oni-princess. She doesn't struggle with gender identity, but rather she simply believes she is Odin and it is negligible to gender. If Odin was a woman, she'd nonetheless strive to be Odin. Oda confirms this in a recent Viver card that Yamato identifies as a woman. If she identified as a man, no one, including myself, would have any issues with this, but that isn't the focus on Yamato's identity. Rather, the focus is the lack of it. I believe this point will be paramount in her development. The transition from desiring to be Odin, from believing she's Odin, to accepting that she is in fact a Yamato, and no longer running from who she truly is. I believe before she comes to Straw Hat, she'll understand that she doesn't need to be someone else, despite looking up to and idolizing them. She can carry on the will of Odin without becoming Odin. Her character development of becoming herself, of loving herself, is still underway, but it gives me genuine chills that Yamato, who suffered a life of misery while literally chained down and despite that, held on to the belief that things will change due to her influence from Odin's words, that she will eventually learn to be herself, to become Yamato. Yamato compels all of us to empathize for a young child who is subjected to parenthood of literal beast and punished for simple adoration for wanting to become something else. Similarly to Yamato, I'm sure we can all relate to that at points in our lives, especially as a child, wanting to be someone else. Yamato is a character we can see glimpses of ourselves within, and that is a mark of a great character. Yamato does embody this relatability to an extreme, however. Tortured, forced to starve, and be in chains for her belief. Despite facing hell her entire life, she never lost hope, and she continues to fight with all she has to fulfill the dream of Odin. Inherited will is a continual theme within One Piece, and we see it time and time again. That despite death, the ideals, the values, the desires of the departed are passed on to others and are thereby immortalized. This here is no different. Yamato will see it through that Wano is opened, and in doing so will fulfill her story arc of Odin, and hopefully then become Yamato our lovely Oni princess. Dreams and aspirations are a central topic within One Piece, and one of my favorites at that. In fact, all of our Straw Hats possess them. Yamato is no different in that regard, which just bolsters her resume for in fact becoming a Straw Hat. During her clash with Kaido, she recounted in the past that she had people who believed in her, people who accepted her, despite her heritage, and she carries on those who believed in her throughout her fight. She exemplifies to us that your heritage doesn't write your fate, that despite who your parent may be, the sins of your blood doesn't reflect upon you. That she isn't forced to the fate as Kaido's progeny and thereby future shogun over the enslaved land of Wano. That she can break this path forced upon her and instead write her own destiny. The storytelling elements of Yamato's character, again like Oda always does, relates this to the real world. We aren't bound by our blood, we may be influenced, but within all of us is the decision to blaze our own path. Yamato not only has strong ideals, but she's a brilliant fighter, emulating her father with her Thunder Bagua and mastery over her mythical Zoan while wielding Conqueror's Haki. Yamato is a force to be reckoned with, beautifully designed, unwavering morals, and a gritty fighting style. I'd be hard-pressed to find something I don't love about her. In her fight with Kaido, she already does her very first act as a volunteer Straw Hat. While Luffy is incapacitated from Kaido and battling him, she tells Kaido that she knows she won't be able to beat him. It's obvious. She's instead holding off Kaido until Luffy returns, and tells Kaido that Luffy is the man Oden was waiting for. Retrospectively, upon rereading this, I can only imagine the disdain Kaido felt in that moment. As we know, Oden said to open up Wano for Joy Boy, that he was waiting for Joy Boy. Here, Yamato, spitting in the face of her father, defiantly tells Kaido in similar fashion to what Whitebeard did to Teach. She tells Kaido that he isn't Joy Boy, once more reminding Kaido of his failure. Yamato has been a central component of the third act of Wano, and I don't see her leaving the story anytime soon. Luffy has continually paralleled Roger in many ways, and Yamato joining the crew would fit this comparison. And not only that, she'd also bolster the crew's strength as we reach the endgame of the story. Yamato is a refreshing character. As we know, there aren't a ton of incredibly physically strong female characters within the story. Outside of Big Mom and Boa, the list is short in comparison to some of the greatest male strengths within the story. Yamato, once she truly becomes Yamato, will serve as a great strong female character in all facets. And if you're new to my channel and you don't already know, I am a giant fan of strong female characters within storytelling, and it's refreshing to see this done by Oda. There's no doubt in my mind that this Oni princess, this demon princess who stole my heart, will be joining our Straw Hats, and I am full of fervor and excitement at this prospect. I'm not sure she'll ever give my heart back, and I hope she doesn't because I am so encapsulated with Yamato's character. I absolutely loved making this video, and if you guys enjoyed it as well, please let me know in the comment section below, and if you haven't already, drop a subscription as it means the world to me and helps out my channel, and lets me know you want to see more content like this. I'm really pushing out a bunch of One Piece videos, so if you guys like this One Piece coverage, best believe there will be plenty more where it came from. I hope you are all having a beautiful day, and as always, be greedier, and I will catch you all next time.